Welcome to Toffee TV, today live extra. And Everton have been linked this morning with Adama Traore, who is this? See, this strikes me as one of those, like, because he's still a Wolves player, isn't he? This strikes me as an El Ghazi one. This, well, you're negotiating for one player, and it's like, well, do you want this player? You want this Traore fella? Can we throw him into the deal? Just to, add, don't really want to sell you this one, but if you want this one, and we'll throw in a case of baby oil as well with it.
He likes his baby oil.
He does like his baby oil, just to keep players off his arm. But
that's actually,
I must admit, he's one of those players that a couple of years ago was like, you looked at him and thought, this fella's going to be amazing. Maybe 3 years ago, this fella, the pace, the power, he's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. He's going to be amazing, and then it's not happened, has it? It just hasn't happened at Wolves. He's gone to Barcelona. It doesn't seem to have happened there. They're not going to sign him. They have got the money, but they haven't got the money. No one's getting paid, but they're buying players for 70 million euros. The staff are not getting paid.
What happens with FFP with those kind of
clubs? I don't know, and it's just
no money. Someone said they're not even going to exist in 2 years, but they can still.
Spotify clearly are paying the bills. But no, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because he is a player that you looked at a couple of years and went, oh my God, this lad, if he gets to the next level, could be unbelievable. Liverpool were linked with him.
You thought he'd go to Liverpool.
Spurs were linked with him. But he hasn't kicked on because he doesn't have an end product, or he doesn't seem to have an end product. Other people might say differently. Other people might say, well, he puts the ball in the right areas and you've got to hone that. But is he someone we should be looking at, or is it just, again, we're getting pushed into one of those players that someone else just doesn't want?
I don't know whether we're getting pushed into it. It's just a link, isn't it?
No, you know what I mean. Like,
but if Everton are looking for someone who's got genuine pace, which is what they call it, for what, 10 million quid, 8 to 10 million pound, 26 years of age, can play through the middle or can play wide right, they might look at it and go, well, there's value there for him. My initial feelings are, I've just seen him have so many games where he's dreadful, and he gets chances and misses them. His final ball's often poor, or it seems to be poor. I don't watch him every single week, so I might be doing him a little bit of a disservice, but when I've watched them against Everton in particular, I can only really remember one game where he was very good and we won the game 3-2. He gave Luca Dean a little bit of a hard time in the opening half an hour, set one of their goals up. But then, even in that game, I remember Dean got to grips with him second half and he wasn't in the game. But he's got something that Everton don't have at that end of the pitch, and that is that real pace. If you knock a ball, and he's powerful. If you could get him to put ball, I mean, this is probably what everybody's thought.
Yeah.
If you could get him to put balls in the right area, and you'd say to Calvert-Lewin, just get yourself in that, you'd probably get goals galore, because he gets away. I mean, he had one game, I remember, one outstanding performance from him was for Wolves at City. They beat them 2-0 a couple of years ago at the Etihad early on in the season. And City battered them, but they broke twice and he scored 2. Yeah. And he was brilliant, strong and powerful. And you thought then, that was when Liverpool was sniffing around, and you thought, I wonder if the pennies dropped with him. And that day, City just couldn't handle him. They're few and far between. I
always thought, when I first seen him, when he sort of, because at Middlesbrough, wasn't he, with Villa, and
don't forget, he was a player who Roberto Martinez tried to get in his first season here, because he was in Barcelona B.
I always thought that he would become a central striker in the vein of Mane. I thought he would harness the pace, and then the
not
other,
really a back to goal, but
no, and then the other bit would drop.
And
having that lightning pace, like you've just said, on the counter attack through the middle, I thought he'd have that, but he just hasn't kicked on. He doesn't ever seem to me like he's a player who fully knows what he wants to do next, or understand when is the right time to put a cross in. Because listen, pace obviously is a huge thing, but also though, I've seen Usain Bolt play football. He's quite fast. Doesn't mean you've got the technique to know when to play a ball.
A lot of defenders are quick, aren't they?
Well, that's it. And if you're a quick defender or just an intelligent defender, and you close off the space, you don't have to run in a straight line. You just have to run across. If you're an intelligent defender and you can start preempting what someone's going to do, like you said there with Dean, if you're an intelligent defender, the fella might get you the first couple of times, and you're like, oof, this fella, and then you have to understand then, and that's what the best players do. If that player hasn't got the trick, or doesn't put the ball in the box, or doesn't know how to run at a certain angle to get himself in the box, and I think that's the route he's gone down. He hasn't really, as I said, there's the amount of times we've played Wolves, say, and you'd always go before, oh, that's Traore, and then you go, he's on the bench. And then they bring him on, and you're like, oh my God, they're bringing Traore. He doesn't do anything. It's like there's a fear there, because you look at the size of him and you look at the pace, and you go, oh God, and he just doesn't ever do it. So I was asked this question before by someone who actually, funny enough, works at Barcelona. I was like, I don't want him if he's just being offered to us. If there's a genuine strategy there, and Everton have gone, maybe, then you've got to trust the people. But if he's just being offered to us, then that's why I mentioned the El Ghazi thing. It's like, we're just going to throw him in as a package and go, well, we don't want him, why don't you have him?
Obviously Kevin Dalwell took him to Wolves, didn't he? I was certainly involved in him going to Wolves, so we'll know him, and we'll know what he's like. But I just looked at his number. I was just looking at the goals then. Barcelona beat 1863. That was when Everton were linked with him, but he was a kid. And he had that lightning pace.
And he wasn't built like he is now.
No. He's played 12 times for Barcelona first team, once when he was a kid, and 11 on loan last season, and didn't score a goal. He played 11 times for Villa and didn't score a goal. He played 61 times for Middlesbrough and got 5. And he played 123 times for Wolves and scored 8.
Yeah, it's appalling.
So for someone with his, and he's had 8 caps for Spain, he's not scored a goal yet. So for someone with his power and pace, his output just has simply just not been good enough. His career reads 321 games and 26 goals. Wolves 154 games, 11 goals in all competitions for them. So he's what is he, 1 in 5 or something? Crazy. Like, terrified then to see the Charlison's name come up, but so I know a lot of people will be going no, and my initial one was probably no thanks. If Everton looked and said, and it's a big if Everton looked at it and said, well, you know what, we can get him for 8 or 9 million quid. He's Premier League proven, as in he's played in the Premier League over 100 odd times, well more, because you include Villa and Borough in there, so he's played probably a couple of 100 games in the Premier League. Then we can get him for that money. Why not take a little chance on him and have him in the squad to give us something? He can play right, he can play left, he can play through the middle. You could understand maybe the appeal being there at that, but I'll be honest, it's one where I'm just like,
when money's tight,
it's one of them, isn't it? You look at it and go, why have Barcelona not took the option on him for 8 or 9 million quid? Why Wolves prepared to let him go? And I know that isn't always a marker, because the player might have just been like, I don't want to play here no more.
Do you think it might be, because obviously this story last night about Morgan Gibbs-White, obviously saying with Everton are continuing to try and have been encouraged. Do you think it might be one of those ones where Everton have come to the table and said, we want him, player wants to come to us, just need to find a deal, and they've gone, well, we don't really want to sell him, but how about this fella to put us off the scent? Because that does happen, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely, it happens. If they turn around and say we want a player that's going to play on the right, which I think where they're looking at Morgan Gibbs-White to use the wide right or centre mid, Wolves might have gone, we've got a player on the right here you can have for 8 million. I don't know. I don't know that. I know that they've been negotiating with Morgan Gibbs-White for a couple of weeks with Wolves, trying to get to the bottom of that, and hopefully it's edging closer now. And I say hopefully because obviously Everton have identified him. So but Everton aren't prepared to just pay whatever Wolves want for him, which is why it's taking longer, which is good. I think that's a good thing on the face of it. So it's dead strange. I've seen a couple of people have said to me, I'd take him, I'd have him. 8 or 9 million quid, can play anywhere across the front three. Who are we gonna get to do that? I'd go, well, what about Mathew? He's playing in France. He's 22. He can play left. He can play through the middle. Scores goals. This fella doesn't score goals. Oh. Then they might say, well, yeah, but he plays in the Premier League, and if he's got Dominic Calvert-Lewin in the middle, Everton's got no pace on the break. He could suck people in and knock it, and he's in behind. And then you come back with, yeah, but if he's in behind and he can't finish, well, it doesn't make any difference, you know. And then you can, I think you can go like that with that argument all day long. I think if people were convinced he had good end product, he'd be at Liverpool, or he'd be at.
Will he be somewhere for 7 or 8 million quid or whatever? Less than 10. Someone would have took a chance on it.
So it is one I can understand people going screaming no, and I can even understand people going, actually, you know what? For 8 or 9 million quid, why not? Put it this way, yeah. Well, I'll ask this. It's like this is a slightly different angle. Then, who would you rather have coming off the bench, him or Salomon Rondon?
I know, but that's like a. That's.
I know the different players.
That's I'm just the devil in the deep blue sea.
I know, but I'm just talking about an actual option.
No, I know, but there are other options out there. There's plenty of options.
Just name one.
That's just a name, isn't it? And I think the problem with him, it would genuinely feel like someone else's, someone doesn't want. And yes, they're giving us a good deal, but we've had loads of those players.
Do you not think? Is he not someone who get you off the edge of your seat though when he gets the ball because of the pace?
Get me off my edge of the seat when I seen him sky the ball every minute. I understand. There's a difference, I think, between being like saying like beggars can't be choosers. I think in this day and age you can be a chooser. I think there's plenty of talent around for good value, and I think we've seen lots of value this summer with some players who signed already for clubs. To me, he's another one, right? And if you want to go back to the old Moneyball thing, right? Yeah, he looks good. Yeah. He's got the muscles. He's dead fast. But what are his numbers? What's his data say? And to me, listen, spoke to Andy this morning, Andy the Piv, and he's like, no, the pace gets you up the pitch and can put a ball in the right area. I appreciate all that, but his numbers are goals and assists. That's what ultimately you've got to be looking at. All right, and I know assists aren't they're not true data. I appreciate that. I know that because you need someone to finish it. But to me, he just screams of another one of those players that there's been a lot of hype about, but it's not real. There's other players who play even in the Premier League that have probably got much better data, but don't have this like thing of like when you see, because it is the thing, it is the Moneyball thing. He looks great. Oh, he looks pacey. He looks, the baby and all that. It all makes for a great story for a player. But underneath it, what's actually there? Is he actually a good player? And I just don't know if he is good. And as I said, lots of people will be like, well, it's whether it's horses for courses or whatever. I just think there's other players out there. And then again, I'll be going against myself a little bit because I want players now, and people will be like, we can get him now, and it's like, well, there are other players.
You want different players.
Well, it's not that I want different players. I want to feel like there's a plan. Does he sound like a player that's part of a plan? Because if he was part of a plan, we could have signed him about 3 weeks ago. Genuinely.
I don't know whether.
Well, you know what I mean. Maybe not 3 weeks ago, but you know what I mean. I don't. This to me, and I might be completely wrong here, but the fact that we're after Gibbs White and then another Wolves player name pops up, and he's not wanted by then, that strikes me as someone said, why don't you have him? And again, I go back to it's the El Ghazi thing of like, if you want to get this deal done, why don't you take this fella on loan?
So take the both of them.
No, I wouldn't take any of them. That's the point I'm saying. El Ghazi was like,
no. I'm saying.
Gibbs White.
Gibbs White and him on loan. Not on loan. Him on. Two for one. We'll do the deal if you take both of them.
But not if we don't want them.
Yeah.
I don't really. No. What I mean is, not if they don't really want them. Don't get caught with your pants down again.
Yeah, Andy sent me some. Go on, you keep talking and I'll try and make it.
Decipher it. No, listen. if the data's out there to suggest he's a good player.
Right, there we go.
Go on.
Right, so his professional career. So Aston Villa, Middlesbrough, Wolves, Barcelona. Yeah. They total 171 league games. Yeah. He scored 8 goals and got 16 assists in 171 games. So if we put that into perspective, we've just lost a fella that scored 10 goals and got 5 assists in one season. And he's got 16 assists and 8 goals in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seasons.
Assists aren't real, are they?
Assists aren't real, really. He averages 1.46 shots a game. Key passes, 1.5 key passes a game. His XG during that period of time was 11.57. He actually scored 8, so he was 3.5 points under his XG. It means he missed some sitters. His expected assists over that period were 19 again, so he was 3 lower than what he should have had. He averages his expected goals 0.11 per game, his assists 0.19 a game. So he's not massively creative. That's what we're trying to say. And it's whether people agree with that or don't agree with it. I think it is what it is. Obviously, none of us are making the choice. So I don't know. For me, I'd err on. He's not for me. I wouldn't be hugely against it, though. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't be like, this is a terrible decision. But he's not really one for me. He's not one that you'd go, I really hope Everton get him. And I've seen some people who do really hope we get him, because it will be that, listen, he's a real threat, and teams will go, we've got to worry about him. Because you do, even, say he goes to, I don't know, whoever, say Brighton took him, or whatever, and we're playing Brighton, we'd be like, oh my God, you've got to watch Traore. We would, no matter what, even with all that information we've got, you would still be saying, we've got to keep an eye on Traore because the pace worries you. So if Everton had them, teams would be like, we've got to look out for him. And what happens? What happens with that though is then you'd hope people are worried about him, and that frees up Dom in the middle or someone coming off the left. That little bit of space, but
I get that, because as I said to you before, every time we play them or someone plays them, there is like a hype thing with them, but it very, very rarely pays off.
Yeah. I remember when I went to Wolves game a couple of years when after lockdown, it was the last game of the season, and he went on a brilliant run. He picked the ball up and went round about 5 men, and then
went out,
just ran the ball at him, and you were like, all you had to do was shoot. He took too long to like thingy, and he had a couple of runs that night, and you looked at him and were thinking, we ended up with Ben Godfrey kind of going man for man on him a little bit, and
I think the other thing you've got to remember in all this as well, though, is that cash is tight, and things have to be done in a certain way, and things have to be structured. We have to get our ducks in a row, and we need to get the position that we really need first. And if we spend £10 million on him, and I don't what's he got contract wise?
A year left. That's why he's going, I think.
But I think 10 million's far too much for a player. A year left.
Someone said 8, haven't they? One of the other journalists have said it. I think it's a year left anyway, because I imagine.
But I
imagine if he had 2, they'd want like 15 for him, wouldn't he?
Yeah,
surely.
I just think you've got to get your ducks in a row. He might be someone that I would be interested in a couple of weeks into the season, if we got our targets and there's a little bit of wiggle room. I'm just not sure of him right now, but I also don't think he's going to go anywhere either in the meantime. So
no, because who's going to come in for him? Really?
Everton.
No, but that's what I mean. Apart from us, who's likely to come in for him? Because
I can't see anyone really.
He's gone to Barca, hasn't he? Always against us, isn't he?
Yeah, they always against us.
He scored about 8 goals.
Picture of Anthony Gordon put a picture on his socials.
Listen.
No, I'm just saying.
Said to you last week.
I'm just saying.
But I said to you last week, and I had this conversation with the Piv last week, who told me that he thought he was going to Palace, and I was like,
Who Anthony Gordon?
No, MGW. It's not what he's told Everton or his agent. So
picture with Anthony Gordon with
Morgan Gibbs
White for England with side eyes and a blue heart. I think that was from last night, actually, that picture.
He's coming, isn't he? Let's be honest.
We'll see.
But we'll see. It looks like he's coming anyway.
I
see, that to me, I'm more on board with him than I am with
just find it interesting that the new transfer strategy is how many letters can we get on the back of someone's shirt?
It's about money.
It's about money.
It's about
I think it's a
money,
fantastic strategy, personally.
Go and look for Ibrahimovic if he's got a kid or a cousin.
You're just going for 3-barrel names now. That's what we're going to be. That's what we're going to be.
Triple barrel name.
Triple barrel, double barreled, just full barreled.
Zach's not having any of them on the kit.
No.
Gordon,
just get Zach on the back.
Just
get Zach 10.
He's 7 for his team. I want to wear 8. I wore 8, but he's number 7.
8's a rubbish number.
What's say? 8's a goal number, mate. Goals. Mohammed Albert Dulkareem on the super chat says Delph isn't athletic, but he has intelligence and quality that made the rest of the team 30% better. This is what you were talking about yesterday, wasn't you? Gilmore has those qualities, would love him 100%.
If Gilmore was so good, why was he so crap for Norwich?
But what I'd say is, and I did again, I didn't see all of Gilmore for Norwich, obviously. But what I did see was Sean Sterling for Liverpool. What a goal! What I did see was Matthias Norman was excellent for Norwich in that midfield. He stood out, and Gilmore didn't. I think Gilmore's a little bit slow for me.
Yeah,
that's what I think.
I think
he's a little bit slow.
I think most of his best performances have been playing for Scotland.
Yeah.
And obviously
he was good against England
and against us. He was good against us when they beat us the last game before lockdown. I think it's a lot to ask for a lad of that age to come in and play, and a lot of responsibility to come in and play in that position. Saying yesterday, you're just saying there that Delph could play that role well, although getting him on the pitch was a struggle. Gareth Barry, brilliant at it. Experience. They've got the experience. They know where to run and where not to run. I think that was one of the key reasons we bought Delph in. Is that experience to play in that position, which is such a key position now. Especially if you want to, if you don't want to. The problem is now in football is that long ball now, or going direct, is becoming harder and harder because football teams tactically. But number one, you need a centre forward like Dominic Calvert-Lewin. So we have got one at the moment. So that's fair enough. But most teams can't play like that because most team centre forwards are small, quick, intelligent footballers. There's very few around like Dominic Calvert-Lewin anymore. Which obviously that means you've got to play it out from the back. You can't just go forward long. You just can't. It's just not an option. And we saw that when we had Richarlison up front. We obviously play less. So therefore, opposition teams know you're going to be forced to play it out the back. They press really high, and then they try and get it. So what you need, if you've got a good little number 6, you can take it off the centre backs. They know that you can play it into them. You can go round the corner and beat the press. I mean, if you don't go long and you can't play at the back, you try and go wide. And all that happens now is the full backs play really high and force a turnover or force it to go out to play. No, the tactics are just nowadays. It's just too easy for teams now to play against teams who want to try and do that. Unless you've got a goalkeeper, and this is the other side of it, a goalkeeper who's amazing, and obviously that's where Man City are brilliant. Is because Man City can do it both ways. They draw you in on the press, and then the keeper just dinks it over the top to one of the centre midfielders, who's brilliant anyway, and he's there away. So that's why that number 6 position has become so important. That's why you need a player who can take the ball under pressure with a good angle and get you going. And I think that's obviously that's why we were looking at Winks. I imagine is for him to do that role. And I still think, well, of course, we'll be looking to bring that player in, but I think it's hard, isn't it? You have to either be super talented or have that little bit of experience where they know how to play the role really well. So it's going to be a hard one to fill that.
Tom Logic, who obviously does a lot of this stat stuff himself, done some scouting and all that, says assists is the worst stat in football. Look at his XA, expected assists, XG, goals, non-penalty goals, shots on target, shot creating actions, goal creating actions. Well, I've got his shot creating actions in the Premier League. Last year was 50 shot creating actions, and goal creating actions was 2. XG 2.4.
This is Traore, of course.
Traore, obviously. XA 1.7. Tom says Lampard discussed how he wants his team to press high and work rate. Traore has poor pressing stats. Off the ball work rate isn't good. Yeah, that was another one of my things, Tom, is that he doesn't kind of fit what Lampard wants, where Gibbs White does press well. And that's why I think Everton would be using him in that right-hand side role. So Liz Kirkham says, hi guys, just grabbing a minute before my next Zoom work meeting to send a belated thanks for last Friday's Premier Night. Thank you for coming. Me and Si had a great time chatting with you all. Hope to catch a few more live shows on my day off later this week. Will you be doing any lives from the US? Yes.
Yeah, we will on Patreon,
Yeah, we'll be doing it.
Premier. Exclusively on Premier, I know. Exclusively on Premier for the lives next week, because we'll be in the United States of America.
We will.
Oh yeah.
Tom says not a big Adama Traore fan, and his numbers are pretty poor. But if it was 10 mil, and with the 5 subs, really someone who could make a massive impact off the bench. Obviously, there is that this season, isn't it?
Of course.
There is the 5 subs.
Of course.
Leeds, Queensland,
Australia,
Villa. Dave Gilbert said no, he's not very good. I'm paraphrasing. No end product. Why we only ever linked with Chelsea players because Lampard came from there, or Wolves players, Costello. You should be there. No imagination whatsoever. Then everyone wonders why we're paying over the odds. One thing I'd say with that is, well, 2 things really. One of them is you're gonna get linked with those kind of players because people have worked with them before. So you're already one up with the character, aren't you? You know what I mean? People know the character, they know what they're getting. So you're always going to get those links. And two of them is, half of them are just links. It's as simple as that. And people link us with those players for that exact thing, what you just said there, Dave. People go, oh, Kevin Thelber was at Wolves, like, Wolves. We were linked with Pedro Neto the other day.
That would be.
He's a good player, but I'm saying we were linked with him. We've been linked with obviously half of Chelsea's team. So if I'm a journalist and I'm looking for a story just to keep things ticking over, you look and go, well, all right, Adama Traore being at Wolves, Everton.
But as I said before, it would not be a surprise to me whatsoever if Wolves during negotiations have gone, well, I tell you what, you can have him for that, but can you take this fella as well? Because that's what clubs do.
Because it'll free up there, but they want people off their wage bill, don't they, as well? Derek says not interested, no end product. Andy Campbell says let's get Bruce Wayne to buy the club and call it a day. Okay. Bobby says why not? We've had the Joker running it for years.
Hey!
Bobby's here all day. Thomas says get the baby oil in. Honestly, for 10 million and 26. He's only 26. He's worth a point.
He's not. Yeah, but how many times are we going to do this, though? How many times are we going to do this? Right. No. But how many times are we going to do this? Let's not just jump into things with 2 feet and then keep sliding because we're covered in baby oil.
His consistency is a worry, but on his day rips teams to shreds. Did it to Liverpool and City. Both Pep and Klopp said he's unstoppable when he's in that mood. Not sure how much wages he'd be on, but imagine the last 20 minutes.
How often is he in that mood, though?
Yeah. Tony Fielding says phoning Everton is half a day job. Something simple like buying tickets for the upcoming friendly against Dynamo Kiev has me on the phone for over an hour. Then I got cut off, no ring back, phoned again, and I had to leave it. So this has been like this for as long as I can remember. Absolutely woeful. We now expect this when we ring up Everton. We now accept this shite on all levels from Everton. Something needs to change. You know what's mad, right? I done it this morning. I was getting me and Zach a couple of tickets for the game. And I wanted to get an extra one. But obviously you can't get an extra one because
you
the person's not a season ticket holder. I'm just going to take them for the thing. So I've not got them. Do you know what I mean? I was thinking, should I just get 2 and should I buy one, leave a gap, and buy the other one so there's one in the middle so someone's unlikely to buy it in the next 2 days. But then you're gambling, aren't you? And it's like, well, what do we? I don't know what to do. So I've left it in me. It obviously was my basket. I don't know whether to buy me and Zach it and then just get one close by. It's like, it's a friendly. We're not going to sell out. Yeah. And I know they can't. I understand it, but it is frustrating as well.
I bought gear last week from the Everton from online, and I bought it online because I was told that it wouldn't be out till after we go away, and it was supposed to come Monday, and it hasn't come, and it isn't gonna come, and it's in the shops now. And you can't take it. You can't take it back if you buy it online. Right. It's absolutely the whole system.
At Christmas, I wanted something for our Max, and I wanted something for him, and we ordered it online, and there was a cock up online and all that. And my mother-in-law was obviously it's her grandson, so she was buying a couple of things for him. They sent her the wrong thing 3 times. 3 times, so it didn't even come in time for Christmas because he sent the thing 3 times. Right, I went into the shop 3 days before Christmas to get him one of the kits, the 3rd kit, whatever, and they'd sent something out wrong to us as well. So I took it in and went, can I just swap this in the shop? The kit was, you could tell it hadn't been touched, but it was too big. And I went, can I just swap it? And it was there on the hanger. Can I just swap that? And he went, no, you can't. You'd have to buy it. I was like, but it's 30% off online, and I'm in the shop here with me money ready to hand to you, and you're telling me you won't swap it, and I've got to pay 30% more in the thing,
and it's a £5 to send it back online.
You have to pay to send it back.
Honestly,
I was just like,
it's like Everton don't want your money. It's like they don't want your money.
It's absolutely bizarre.
And I know it's a third party, it's fanatics, but they don't. It's like they don't want your money. It's pathetic.
But if you've got stock and you've got something that someone clearly hasn't worn, and it's there on the hanger. Why wouldn't you just? I know they go. But
I was told that. I was told, like, literally, I ordered it, and when I ordered it, it told me all the dates that things were going to be available. So I bought a training top. I knew it wasn't going to be available, but I bought it anyway, and I bought another T-shirt which I knew, and the T-shirt turned up today. So the T-shirt which wasn't available till next week, it turned up today, and the shorts haven't, and the shorts are in the shop. Honest to God, and people wonder why people get angry with all the little things, because it's the little things that ruin.
Well, what happens is the little things chip away, and you push it to the side and go, oh, it doesn't matter, Mars bars in the upper balance. No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't. But all of a sudden, that pile it doesn't matter is up here, and then you look at the team and you go, that's crap. You see that we can't buy players because they've been mismanaged, and you go, hang on, that's crap. And then all of a sudden, and you're sharing a city with a team that wins stuff, and you've got them down out and get stuff out, and you start going, hang on a sec, what, enough is enough now. People do get frustrated.
I just wanted shorts with zips. That's all I wanted.
But Bobby C says, which supposed transfer targets you honestly reckon it genuinely wanted by Frank Lampard? It's hard, isn't it? Because a lot of them are links. But I imagine he wants Brozier, and I imagine he'd like Conor Gallagher from Chelsea. Because who wouldn't? I imagine he's been impressed with Morgan Gibbs-White, but Kevin Thelwell's probably driving that as well. I get that, but if you speak to anybody in and around football, they will say Kevin Thelwell should be driving it, because if Frank Lampard isn't here in 6 months, and I think he will, and I hope, and I'm not expecting any difference. But then what do? We start again, and then all this conversation then starts again. So you have to. We're hoping that Everton can put a structure in place of young, hungry players who want to do well. That hopefully, as we move forward, if we did have to change the manager, and I hope we don't, another one wouldn't come in and have to rip it all up and go, this is crap, this is crap. We'd have people who might make money on, that should be the kind of model we move towards, because that's what we all want, don't we, as fans? We all keep saying it. There's no good saying it if we don't actually believe it or don't actually think, well, that's what we should be doing. Yeah.
My shorts are due to turn up on the 11th of July.
Sound? So Monday, so someone's got them.
They haven't been sent. Pathetic.
Tom says, hello lads, it would have took a chance on the Dharma Traore a few seasons ago. He hasn't kicked on, not really cost effective. Rather Everton stick to the plan of young Premier League talent. Have a good look at João Pedro last night, 20 years age, two good seasons. Would rather pursue him over Dennis. Yeah, a couple of clubs are looking at him, aren't they, as well? And would take Ethan Ampadu over Gilmore every day of the week. Yeah, I'll be honest, Tom. I'm not a Billy Gilmore fan. I'm really not. I've not seen enough of him that's made me think if we get him, he'll be, he could really help us. I don't watch him a lot, of course. I've seen he had a good game against England at Wembley in the Euros. But then no one else was interested in him either. Norwich didn't play him that often, though he got injured. Norwich for a bit. So Tony says it's worth a punt for 10 million. I've just bought a tub of layer pack, two Freddos on a chomp. Cost me 10.1 million. Thomas says didn't realise how big Tarkovsky is. He has legs on a cycling. Has legs on him like a cycling sprinter. I was actually thinking today, like you can imagine, how much defending he actually does for 90 minutes for Burnley. They get an onslaught of attack thrown at them all game. As good as Van Dijk is, most games he has enough time to make a coffee while his team presses and wins the ball. Looking forward to seeing Tarkovsky. Good. Georgie says when he was listening to the latest Bullens podcast, Carl Thomas, who is Lewis Warrington's agent, was on it. Said that Unsworth left Warrington out of the squad in the under-23s for no reason, and no one could understand it. Plenty of other young lads not getting the opportunity, the likes of Lewis Gibson not getting checked on at Reading. How the club have fell apart in the last 5 years is ridiculous. Well, yeah, and listen, that's what the change is for, isn't it? The change is being made that hopefully all of this gets looked after. I've had really good reports, to be honest, about Kevin Thelwell, about the changes that they've made, about Kevin Nicholson and what he's doing behind the scenes. Sounds good. The proof will be if we make progress, won't it? That's the evidence there. Steve Bryan says, afternoon guys, everything you're saying about Traore you could say about Iwobi. Do we need two Iwobis? That's a good point, isn't it? It's a good point. We can't have people who maybe on the day are alright.
Yeah. Because
we need sure things, don't we?
Yeah.
We need to look and go, we know he's going to do this for us today. Because you can have maybe one of those players which is a bit of a wild card, and if he clicks he'll destroy them. You can't have too many. We can't anyway. Julian says, afternoon lads, cheer for explaining the due diligence in signing a player can take as long as a year. Would make sense why we are being linked with players that Toffee and the manager have knowledge of previous clubs. Are we likely to see low risk signings? You know what, Julian, I think maybe we are for this summer. I think maybe we are. I'd still like us to go and get a couple of younger lads from France who we can implement and integrate into the squad, and build them and be looking and going, over the next 12 months you're going to be in our team, or that's what we're hoping for. But I understand that you've also got to go and get players who can perform for Everton right now, haven't we? I mean, you said last year with Benitez, you thought he'd come in because what he'd do is he'd just keep Everton in the league till we got to Bramley Moor.
Yeah, basically.
That was the MO. And then if he could get a bit higher sound. Well, we're still in that situation. But if we do it from a better base with a younger manager who can bring in younger players, and we can build so that when we hit Bramley Moor, something is in place to build, then that's a good thing, isn't it?
No, it's got to build towards something, and obviously the ground is what you're building towards, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, it's got to be the focal point. Everything's got to come together when we go into the ground. We should be in a good position, you know, so we can attract, because you want to go into the ground being able to attract the best sponsors and looking like you're on the way up, and have like the young manager and good homegrown young players and have exciting players you've brought in, and it all looking like it's going somewhere. It can't be a negative thing. So you know, that will help attract bigger and better sponsors. Shirt sponsor, you know, sleeve sponsor. Could have one of those soon, apparently. Naming rights for the ground, all that kind of thing. So let's hope we can start building towards something.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you make of Frank Lampard saying Seamus is injured and he'll miss the start of the season?
Is that what he said?
Well, he said he's got an injury and we're hoping to have him back early on in the season. So that gives Nathan Patterson a huge opportunity, him or Iwobi, doesn't it? So Patterson, get his head down and really work hard.
If he's injured, I mean, this is what you're going to get, isn't it? This is what you're going to get. You're going to get more and more of this. Obviously, with Seamus, he's had a very long career, played lots and lots of games, without, you know, people coming in and you know, the fella knows himself. You know, he's probably played through the pain barrier a lot of last season, and hopefully that can change and we can start getting Patterson into the team and start moving him forward. And that might mean we do play 3 at the back to accommodate Patterson at first, and because that's where he looks very comfortable playing for international. But he's a young lad, and we've got to start. If he was a young lad who'd come through the ranks, you wouldn't have any sort of fear about him, would you? You'd be like, oh, we paid money. I think that makes people think. Be a little bit. It's weird. It's like, even though we pay money, it's like people put more expectation. If he was a young lad, you'd be like, give him a chance. And I think most people probably feel like that anyway. But it's because there's a danger of failure when you've bought someone. When there's a young player who's come through himself, you don't really worry about a player failing as such, because you're like, well, he came through the ranks. But it gives him a brilliant opportunity.
Well, he's done well, hasn't he? He's done well for Scotland. He's a good player, done well for Rangers. So hopefully he'll get in, and that'll be it. Christopher May said, took my nephew to the store on Saturday to buy him the goalkeeper kit, but had to buy the socks online because they don't sell his size in the store.
Clubs, that kind of stuff, the club is still light years behind, absolute light years behind. I just
Lockie White, what are you talking about? The French league is on par with the under-23s. Yeah,
of course it is.
Incredible. Where are we here? Tom says Patterson is the future for us. Scotland's right back, should be no issues. Yeah, hopefully. It's up to him, isn't it? Kevin says Lampard wants to introduce some of the young players into the first team. Well, they've got to be good enough, and that was one of the things he said, didn't he? He said they've got to be good enough. And that's like, at the end of the day, that's where it comes up. It comes down to, if you're good enough, you'll get in. Hopefully, it's what we all want. Tyler said, did anyone else catch Anthony Gordon's Instagram story? Was only up for a couple of minutes, but hinted that Morgan Gibbs White joining. And obviously being told to take it down, hasn't he? Martin says, afternoon boys, Traore not for me, wouldn't offer much more than what we already have, and even at 10 million I'd still leave him be. Sounds. Steve Guy said, just posted the following on Discord as someone saying 10 million's a good price. I think he's an average one-trick pony. His end product isn't great, just looks good when he gets past the defender because he's fast. I wouldn't pay anything for him. Dean says his stats reflect the £10 million price tag. He was valued at 40 million a couple of years ago. It's a big no from me. Tom says Lampard interview very impressive. Yeah, I've only watched half of it, but he come across well. Like, never want to give blind loyalty to a manager. I think they should always prove their ability to the fans. But hopefully the club can give him the tools to progress. He's certainly got a managerial aura about him. Yeah, absolutely. Ryan says, hi guys, trying to find other Evertonians in Buffalo, New York. I found Everton 11 years ago and mostly just watch games by myself. And that's my chance to get away from everyone and everything. But after last season, I found myself wanting to have fellow Evertonians to celebrate or be sad with. I'd consider forming an official supporters club if we get enough people. Any advice, or if anyone is here in the area, please let me know.
Get in touch with Everton, the people at Everton USA, and start building the network. Or get in touch with
there's Everton New York City.
Yeah.
Joe.
So maybe speak to them and Everton New York, and
see what Everton New York.
Because obviously it's upstate, isn't it, Buffalo? So maybe they might know people who I know you can't travel into New York from Buffalo, but they might know people local to you or stuff, or they might be able to put you in touch with other people. It's just about connecting people, isn't it?
You can do it, Ryan. That's right. Bobby says, who's damaged football the most? Is it the clubs, the owners, the players, the agents, the legislators, the broadcasters, the administrators, the media, the officials, the fans?
Not the fans.
I think it's the broadcasters, and then on the back of that, the Premier League.
Money, it's just money, innit? It's just money. People, it's just money, innit? At the end of the day, they decided to make the game obviously more profitable, and the money hasn't been shared, or hasn't been put in the right areas, and it's been taken away from people. It's been not only been taken away from people, what they've done is they've took it away, repackaged it, give it back to us, and said now you've got to pay an extra 50 quid a game or whatever, and then but without really doing anything to it. The game on the pitch, don't get me wrong, has got a lot better. You know, everything's got better on the pitch. I'm not sure players have technically got better. I think there used to be a lot more better players. But I think that's what happened. They took it away, repackaged it, and told you it was amazing, and handed it back to you, and then put a couple of inflatable sumos on the pitch and a few cheerleaders, and then you know, yeah, like everything else though, isn't it? Everything else is exactly the same. Repackage it, put it in HD, and tell you it's the greatest thing in the world. And it's, you know, some countries have stuck to the principles, like Germany, but ours sadly haven't.
Dean says we should be going for Sarr, lads. Watford need money. Shouldn't cost too much. He's just as quick as anyone. Not sure how his numbers are compared to Traore or Dennis. Well, they're better than Traore's. He had an injury hit season last season, didn't he? He got 5 goals and 2 assists from 22 games for Watford. The year before in the Championship, 13 goals and 4 assists. The Premier League the year before, 5 goals, 4 assists. And then in France, 8 goals, 6 assists, 5 goals, 3 assists, 5 goals, 1 assist. Good age, isn't he? I think 24, I think he is now. He was 24 in February, so I do like Ismaila Sarr, I must admit. And he can play anywhere across the front three as well. He wouldn't be 10 million, he'd be probably 20 million. I think his ceiling's a bit higher than Manuel Dennis's. But I don't know, maybe Watford want too much of a down payment or something. I'm not sure. Because you haven't really been linked that much with them, have we?
No one's been linked with Mathew, really.
But I don't know. Listen, he is one I would be excited. I'm not excited, probably not the right way, but one I would go, he's a good player. But again, though, he's still also, if you get him right. But then saying that, he got 5 goals last season in the team and got relegated, played 22 games, was injured in a few of those games, but he still got 5. So
yeah, and the season he went down before that, a lot of people were massively excited about him.
Strongly linked with
him,
so and he got 5 goals. That
mustn't be quite right there if he's still there and people aren't looking at him.
Got 13 goals in the Championship, so maybe if there was a bit more money available, Everton would go and maybe go after him. But like you say, other clubs haven't touched them either, have they? So Alex says, has Ned mentioned Nathan Broadhead yet today? Sure, he's got shares in him. Are you a big Nathan Broadhead mentioning it?
No, I don't rate him at all. I'm always talking about him.
Okay. Terry says, afternoon lads, hello Tez. Number one, if Morgan Gibbs-White was just a Sheffield United player, not on loan from Wolves, would we look at the move more positively? If he was someone at Sheffield United who's doing really well, England under 21. Do you think the fact that he's at Wolves we're going, not sure, because why don't Wolves want him?
Yeah, I do agree. I agree with that to a certain point, because you feel like you're buying someone on the way up from a club. But I know what you mean, and I think the problem is I think Wolves don't want to sell him. I think, but also I don't think they want to play him. I think they've got players in there, and I think that's going to be. I think what the difference is maybe. Listen, if he spoke to somebody and they said, you be in the Everton plans, you be in the first team, you be a big part of this team, and Wolves are like, well, we've got this player in there and that player in there, and actually, you're at a disadvantage because you don't speak Portuguese, so that's obviously going to be a problem for you, isn't it? They might say, yeah, you're like in a couple of years' time, but Everton might be like, no, we want you now. Then that might have got him excited, and I think that might be the difference. So I don't think if he was a cast off from Wolves, I don't think he is a cast off from Wolves. I think
22.
Wolves are trying to keep hold of him, aren't they? They're trying to.
They want him to sign a new contract, but he won't sign a new contract.
Exactly. So if he won't sign a new contract, they're gonna have to sell him, and there's going to be a lot of brinkmanship here. Definitely.
And that's what it is. And Everton hopefully won't go much higher, and Wolves will have to back down. Because Terry says seems to tick all the boxes: young, hungry, good stats, and versatile. Yeah. Any truth in a Traore link that you know of for that price? I'd have him. Got no end product, but a very effective player. Under pressure defensively, give it to the cheat code and watch him run through 4 players and crash through the park end. Richie says, "Hi lads, you're so right, Ped, taking other teams. Cast-offs, what's changed? If he's one of City's second string players, no. Yes, rather, but for Wolves, no. And again, we can only stress it's just a link, isn't it?
Yeah.
Everton haven't offered him, and as far as we're aware, haven't made any kind of bid for him. We're just talking about it because it's a link today." Tom says, tuned in, don't know what's been said before, but I'd definitely have Traore for 10 mil. Imagine him coming on and running at the opposition. I know, but then you're talking about him as a sub, aren't you? And then what we're saying is 8 or 9, 10 million for a substitute when money is really tight. Don't know. Gary likes his pace and size, but he's inconsistent. And that's it, isn't it? The inconsistency thing will always put you off him.
Yeah.
Because you look and go, well, what does he do?
Footballers have to
wasting
perform,
money.
don't they?
If we're wasting money, and that's what they'll look at it as, then what can we do? So yeah, Martin, we're going on Friday, not Thursday, so we got to be at Manchester Airport at 5 o'clock in the morning on Friday morning. Gareth says, big no from me, we need to add goals and assists, not players who run down dead ends. Lou Riddle says, £1 billion business can't get a simple e-commerce right, not acceptable. Richie still hasn't had his membership pack from last season, and they're trying to automatically renew it for this season. I've been on customer service at least 6 times. Solution, just buy Toffee TV gear. Cheers, Lou.
Very true.
Lou says, alright lads, bit of a long-winded one this one. I recently started watching an American YouTube React channel that bases a lot of its videos around the Scouts content. He recently just bought a Liverpool top. I'm not even sure he knows there's 2 teams in the city. It got me thinking that we physically can never be as big as Liverpool, commercially or irrespective of league position, simply because their name is the city. I remember being in Aldi as a kid and being asked where I was from. They'd always respond, Steven Gerrard, and I'd have to explain, no, I support Everton, and they'd look at me like I was an alien. So what's your question? It's really good, Lou, what you've said, but what's your question? Is it can we ever physically be as big as them? The answer to that would be no. I don't think we can ever be as big as them. But that doesn't mean we can't be a club in our own right and be a big club in our own right. We've been one before. But we got to do things like people have been talking about, get the e-commerce right, get the players right, continue to do what we did as a fan base at the end of the season. That got a lot of people talking around the world. Keep that going, make it our thing. We've got the stadium on the Mersey coming. Them kind of things will kick us up, but the team have got to perform as well. Nick says, hi boys, big Traore, big units, pace to burn, no end product. I would be happy come the end of the season with the end of the transfer market. Gibbs, White, Brozier and Winks at the death. Don't forget 6 weeks to go on the transfer market. Kev says, on the Doff conversation, no Wolves played the odd 3 to 5 at the back and we seem to be going that way. Do you think it's an advantage for us to hold going forward because fewer teams play that way, or a disadvantage because fewer coaches run that system? I think if you get it right, it's an advantage, isn't it? It's a good way of playing it, but you got to get it right, like any system. But players, a lot of people in football, coaches and stuff will tell you that systems are great, but it comes down to the players, what your players do. You know,
you've got to have players who fit the system.
You've got to have flexibility.
Who are intelligent enough to play the system. Or and that's where you've got to bring in the right players to play it, and move out the wrong players.
Yeah, definitely. Julian said, really enjoyed your quick stats analysis on Traore. Any chance when you return from the US do a live show where Premier members suggest a player and you go through their stats? Maybe great suggestions. The more off the radar, the better. Yeah, that's what you want, so we'll do it. Dan says, I imagine the Traore links are to entice Leeds to bid for him after selling Rafinha. Chess pieces trying to be moved. Yeah, possibly. Dean says, Ped, have you ever watched Better Call Saul?
Only the first few episodes, but then I got bored. And I know it's really good. I just can't be bothered.
I watched the first 8 and then got bored. But people have told me it's amazing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's got to catch fire, hasn't it? Otherwise, you just don't. Whereas otherwise, you're not motivated to put it on, are you? Myers says, Traore is just a fast, juiced up Kevin Morales.
Your words.
Okay. Brian says, we don't have to be as big as them shower, just ruffle of feathers a bit in Bramley-Moore. Recruitment's on a proper board. Yeah, well said. And Lou says, yeah, sorry, my question was, do you agree we can't ever be as big as Liverpool commercially?
No, we can't ever be as big as them commercially. We can't ever. We're
never
going to be as big as Liverpool. Liverpool are one of the biggest brands in the world in terms of football. But you've got to be different. You've got to. There's a lot of other clubs out there who aren't big clubs, but are very clever the way they do things. I mean, think of like St. Pauli. Do you know what I mean? That people wouldn't have a clue, but they've almost created this little brand for themselves where it's like cool to wear St. Pauli stuff. And half the problem is Everton just don't market themselves very well. I know I read the thing and I sent it to you, didn't I, about this company they've had in London changing the brand and with the tower and everything, and that's all great. But if you've got no identity within your own city, and this is stuff that has to start changing. It has to start changing now. I would, if I was Everton Football Club right now, I would be down. I'd be paying graffiti artists and painters to get that whole 10th Street covered in Everton murals right now and make that area ours. Yeah, definitely. Right now. I'd get some presents in the area as well. I'd have something, I don't know what you do, some presents like a food bank down there or something that can help the community down there right now. And start having a presence down there. But within the city centre as well, the shop is shite. It's dark. You walk in and honest to God, it's just dark. Get some bleeding light in there. Liverpool shop looks bright and welcoming. Ours looks like this, like, oh, you can't come in here unless your name's down. It doesn't, do you know what I mean? We've had this conversation loads of times. Everton have got to start. Like you said before, don't get me wrong, if people don't know Everton is within the city of Liverpool, that's just the way it is. I don't know how you can change that. But unfortunately, we've become, in the last few years, we've become this like L4. We're not even the only club in L4, that's the mad thing. But we've become this thing of like L4. It's like, go out your way. Like, there should be, when the new kit come out, there should be like billboards all over the city to say the new kit was out. There should be billboards when we go away. They should be like, I just think the presence is rubbish, but they don't help themselves. They just don't help themselves at all, do they? There's like, it's good that they've put the branding on the where the stadium is to show people what it is, but like, tell people. And also like the other stuff, like as I said, the merchandise stuff and all that's rubbish, because it doesn't. You can't walk into a shop in like London and say and see an Everton shirt and all that kind of thing. And it's been a problem for years. Liverpool's a huge name in the game, but we're not up against them, though, are we? And we shouldn't think we're up against them. We're up against other teams. So we've got to start making the brand a lot more well known as we go forward.
Definitely, totally agree. Ahmed said, will you take Marcus Tavernier? I don't think Rangers would want to sell him. He's unbelievable for them. And we've got Patterson now, haven't we? So, and Chris Warby says 3-5-2 for me next season with Delhi just off Dom. Andrew says get Lukaku back up front. He's just gone to Inter. He's gone back to where he wanted to go. He doesn't want to play for Everton, does he? Let's be honest. But yeah, what can you do? Gene says, how do local Everton fans feel about Everton? People who are fans from other places, such as American Evertonians. Well, I can only speak for me. I think it's boss.
Yeah.
I think it's brilliant. I love Evertonians being all over the world. I was never one that it was just, it's just L4 is Everton or whatever it is, within it was one you could have a laugh with. You could have a laugh with, like, have a go with Liverpool fans for a little bit, but it wasn't something we should have like hung our hat on. I'm made up with fans all over the world. It's the only way you grow your brand and you grow the team and all that. It's boss. So I think it's fantastic.
No, it's what you've got to have in the modern age, isn't it? And I know as long as you can get to if you can get over and they're supporting you well and all that thing, and they're organised, which ours are, you've got to, especially the American ones, you've got to back them up with your tours and stuff like that. And obviously Australian fans will get similar, so you've got to go where they are as well, and hope you attract new ones to it when you have those little tours and stuff. Brian Murray says our club shop's just a token gesture in town, one of many balls up and no vision. I think it's deep down Denise knows she's out of her depth along with her employer big time. Yeah, it's poor, the shop in town. It really is. It's always empty. It's dead dark. It's like, it's poor. It's very, very poor. Just not welcoming at all. It just doesn't feel welcoming. It's dead dark.
I think I've only been in it once, to be honest.
Yeah. It's just really it's in a really good position as
well.
It
looks great.
It's
looks
over
stuff.
2 floors, but it always feels very sparse as well. It feels like there's very little in there, and
should have had a cafe in there.
That place is too small for a cafe, but I'd have definitely, like when HMV moved and Foot Locker went there, I'd have definitely, if I was Everton, gone, well, I know it's Fanatics, gone, why don't we move to a bigger shop? Like, there's lots of obviously we're in a very difficult time now for, like, obviously shops, and there's a lot of like change in Liverpool on the shops shutting all the time and then opens, but you've got like Debenhams, which obviously shut down, and I think which has got multiple floors, and some of the floors are available. It's like, well, there's other shops that are bigger than Everton, so it's like, why not go, right, we're moving to this big shop and we're putting a cafe in it, like, or something, like when we were in Dortmund, the way they had the little 5-a-side pitch and stuff like that. Mate, just do something a little bit different, and you know, and make it so it's like welcoming, and there's other reasons to go in there. So you go, so the kids, whether kids or something, go, let's go to the Everton shop and we'll grab a coffee while they have a little look around or playing their little thing or whatever, and make it a little welcome.
And bring people in.
Exactly, and like having a little coffee shop in there would be perfect. Absolutely perfect. Yeah. But I just don't think they think like that. Yeah, of course.
Ahmed, apologies. I was thinking of James Tavernier, Rangers Marcus Tavernier, midfielder from Borough. I haven't seen a lot of him. I wouldn't I wouldn't. I couldn't say whether Everton should get him or they shouldn't get him. To be honest with you, he's not one who's really on my radar. Radar on my radar. To be honest with you, Evan Blue says, "Lad, why are you so negative?"
I think that's about me.
That can't be me. I get ripped for being positive. So, John Jones says, "Ped, you should apply for a job at Everton so you can get your ideas across." There you go.
They'd be scared of my ideas.
Pat Butcher says Brozier will be an underwhelming signing.
Run around.
I disagree with that. But that's football.
Who would be a whelming signing?
A whelming signing. Well, I think Brozier.
Overwhelming.
Can
you ever be overwhelming?
Wouldn't be overwhelming. But I think Brozier would be a whelming signing.
Never know. You never know.
He's one of them that he could turn into something. So that's 20.
A butterfly.
You know, well, yeah, if you want. Steve PJ says, "Hi lads, with regards to the brand, I've never supported the Reds as a kid because they were everyone else's club, and I like being a bit different. Could Everton play on this alternative brand as opposed to Liverpool's globalised slick image?" Well, they're going to have to look for an angle, aren't they, to go at? But you still want to attract globalised
The stadium gives
fans.
them an angle, doesn't it? The stadium gives them an angle. I took part in it. Actually, I think it was with the people who've done the rebrand. I did a thing with them it was a while ago, before COVID. There was a lot of fans on a Zoom call talking, being asked different things. And one of the things we said, it was like, we were here first. There's nothing they've done in the city that we haven't done.
Yeah.
They haven't built a stadium. We had the Live a Bird first on our shirt. I said, there's nothing they've done here, so don't be scared. Don't be scared to puff your chest out. Well, we're the originals. Start playing on the originals elements.
Yeah,
you know, and start. Don't be scared of what like people go. Oh, that's copyright, baby. And listen, I don't know how much of that got through to them, but everyone was funny because everybody was in agreement. It was like, don't be bullied or scared that they're here. Do your own thing. Puff out your chest and all. And we start this conversation. Ignore them. Act like they don't exist, and I think we'd all have a better time if we acted like they didn't exist. Yeah. But as a football club, if we acted like they didn't exist, and we did our own thing, and we had our own ideas, and didn't worry about maybe it had been done before or whatever, then I think as a football club, I think the problem is we reacted to, as a football club and as a fan base, because we got dragged into it, this thing of like, they are a global club, so we are the city's club. And it completely, like, it in the long term, it completely backfired, doesn't it? Because football and where it's gone
is
global. And also because they win trophies, they're going to pick up the majority of the stragglers in the city as well. I mean, that we all, you know, every time there's a cup final or whatever, or you just see these people emerge. We say it all the time, these people just emerge. You are like, who are just, you throw a shirt on them or whatever, and they're suddenly a Liverpool fan. Like I said, there was a cup final on, I was in the park, and there's people in Liverpool kits in the park while there was a cup final on. I was just completely bamboozled by it. It's like, because that's how easy it is. Whereas to be Evertonians is a little bit harder. You can't just be a casual Everton fan. And I think Everton have got to like push that. And they had to be fair, I think they are. They're just not doing it very well.
Right, let's race through these last couple because we are back at 5. Of Kevio, I can never say that. I had a mate from Cardiff come up and wanted to get something from the Everton shop. He bigged it up with excitement. We were there for less than 10 minutes, had the atmosphere of a charity shop. Okay.
I was in the one in Goodison last week. I walked in, wanted to get training gear. There wasn't any training gear, and I was in and out in literally 2 minutes. And there's about 4 other people in there, and there was nothing in there to keep me in the shop. There was nothing. It's a tiny shop anyway. This is one by the ground, and I just walked in one door and walked out the other. And honestly, there was nothing to keep me in there.
Ahmed says, how about Mo Camret? Would love him. I think he'd be a really good signing for Everton, to be honest with you. Tazul says, congratulations on 61,000 subs. Ooh. Thank you very much, mate. Everton Blue says, no, Baz, seems you only read negative comments out.
Did you read all the comments?
I'm reading all the comments. I mean, other people you wouldn't have even had your comment read out. I'm reading all of them out, mate. Lord Jordan says, laughed my ass off. I like being different too now. Feel like I'm the only Everton fan in London. The only black one anyway. Well, there's a couple of my people I
loads
speak to who were like that in the same thing. They'll go, I'm the only Evertonian here, or I'm the only black Evertonian in my area, and it's like, hell, get together and build. But it is difficult. I mean, you're fighting on your own there, Jordan, aren't you? Because it is difficult. We haven't got loads to shout about.
I've just had a DM off Everton direct. They're just hilarious.
They were like, said off Everton going,
no,
ripping us.
I said, any idea where the shorts are? They're available in the shop. And they went, I'm sorry for the confusion. The shorts are indeed in stock, but we're waiting for the final item in order to be sent out to you. So I said, yes, but I want the shorts now. You sent a t-shirt, so why didn't you send the shorts? I'm happy to wait for the top, but I need the shorts. And they've replied, the t-shirt shipped from a separate warehouse, which is why it was shipped alone. The shorts and the top are coming from the same location, which is why they're waiting to be shipped together. I would be able to reach out to my international teammates who fucking
all right,
Rondon. Hang on, and see if there's a way for them to ship these shorts independently. I cannot make any guarantees that this will be able to be done, but I would be more than happy to inquire about it. This for you, if you would like. You ordered a pair of shorts.
Tomorrow, mate. They're not coming by tomorrow.
They told me they were coming Monday.
Chris Warby says, why have you not released the away kit before during the US visit? Another commercial opportunity missed. Well, they've only just really got to the States, haven't they? So all I'd say, Chris, is watch the space. That's all I'd say.
Watch lots of spaces.
Lots of spaces, but you know, you'll see. John Jones defending me says, Baz is Mr. Positive. I'm trying to be, aren't I? I'm trying to be, because otherwise, I've said before, I'd just get depressed because people want to go too far the other way. And that's fair enough. Thomas says he's the biggest Toffee in Surely, if that's anything. Hey, it's always something. Right, we're going. We're back at 5. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for the likes. Hit it if you're on your way out. Subscribe if you haven't. We've just gone over 61,000. We appreciate each and every one of you, and we will see you later. Bye.
Bye. Piss off.